Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds, nerdettes, and gamers of all ages. Blazing Ace Nelson is back, and it's time for another entry in the Sengoku Spotlight series for Sengoku Basara 4. Now, I've been trying to work on getting this one done for quite some time, largely because finding the move translations for the character that I'm going to be working on today has been a little on the dicey side at best, and outright holy murder frustrating at worst. But anyway, I said I've been wanting to try and get down to, continuing with this series, and I've got folks looking forward to the next installment, so the results are as you will see. Anyway, let's just get right down to it. Now, the character I want to cover today has been, well, frankly, the character that I want to cover today is not only one of my favorites from Basara 2, but also one of my favorites overall as far as the returning and new additional characters added to the roster for 4. That character being none other than Hideyoshi Toyotomi. Now, normally, when Hideyoshi is portrayed in, games like, say, Onimusha, in particular Onimusha Demon Siege, or, say, the Sengoku Musou franchise from Tecmo Koei, he's portrayed as he's described historically, being a character of unusual stature, and that unusual stature wound up earning him the not-so-flattering nickname of Monkey. Because, he's kind of short, longish arms, and, again, he's portrayed very monkey-like, to the point where in Sengoku Musou, Hideyoshi actually wields a 3-section staff and fights using a very primate, monkeyish sort of style. And even the monkey nickname is lampshaded in Musou Orochi 2, aka Warriors Orochi 3, when during one of the extra missions, it winds up being a retelling of Journey to the West, with Hideyoshi being the monkey, aka Goku, aka Sun Wukong. You get the idea. But with Capcom's take on this rather influential man as far as Japanese history goes, especially the Sengoku era, 16th century Japan, Capcom decided to go a whole nother route with him. So we'll go ahead and put this bad boy on Basara difficulty like last time, and I'll show you just what I mean by a drastically different take on the Monkey Man Hideyoshi. Now, if you remember how Hideyoshi is usually portrayed in, games and other media, just as I've explained, and then you see this dude right here, my guess is that you're probably gonna think that someone basically did a KOF 13 Ralph and Clark number on him. You're gonna be wondering, who did this dude eat to get that big? Now let me go ahead and switch him back to his default outfit real quick, so you can see just how freaking intimidating this man looks in the Sengoku Basara series. I mean, dude. Monkey Hideyoshi, more like Gorilla Hideyoshi. And yeah, his alternate outfit admittedly is pretty cool. But I think we'll go with the classic. But anyway, that's enough about his character design. As far as Hideyoshi as a character in Basara, he's a very interesting sort of multi-layered character, because in his early history, he was actually really good friends with Keiji Maeda. You know, back when they were younger, but Hideyoshi was still a mountain of a dude. You know, they were basically the roughnecks, the delinquents. You could say Keiji and Hideyoshi were a lot like how me and that bastard were back down in California. You know, we were always the guys causing trouble, you know, up to no good, stirring up hijinks. But we also had sort of a side gig-ish, where we'd actually be the ones doing what we could to just help out around town. That was them. But due to a particularly nasty incident, well, a nasty run-in with one of the Basara series, you know, main antagonists, Hisahide Matsunaga, let's just say Hideyoshi's outlook on the world took a turn for the decidedly dark. If you want details as far as like everything that happened, I will leave the link to Hideyoshi's page on the Basara wiki, excuse me, so that way you can actually read up on it and really see, you know, what type of individual Hideyoshi is as a character. But anyway, as you can see on the menu, we've got a powered up weapon, and his element, his chosen element, is light, which means you're going to wind up doing a lot of, you know, you're going to be winding up doing a lot of stun locking on your opponents with whatever elemental activations you achieve. For those of you that have played Basara 3, this is the same Hideyoshi that Mitsunari keeps going on and on about, the same Hideyoshi that Ieyasu wound up having to put down. But anyway, enough about that. You know, that's all preamble. Now, if you remember my walkthrough for Ieyasu way back when, I mentioned that, you know, Ieyasu's weapons are basically gauntlets. It's the same with Hideyoshi, but they're a different style of gauntlets, where Ieyasu uses more like cestus type weapons with, you know, just the plated knuckles and bracers. Hideyoshi just goes full gauntlet. Like, the whole thing, just big metal plated hands to squeeze the life out of you or make your head pop like a pimple or something. But anyway, let's get down to the fighting itself, because I know that's what you're all here for. You're all here to check out the gameplay, to see just what Hideyoshi can do. And that's what I'm going to deliver. Now here's the thing. Compared to Mitsunari, Hideyoshi is definitely on the slow side of things. I mean, when he runs, he's basically lumbering along. But as a heavy character, you can immediately just have him run into boxes and just bust them open. His normal attacks come out slow, but as you'll notice in the midst of it, they're practically like automatic grabs. This is definitely something you are going to want to keep an eye out for. You know, this right here is, you know, a sign of how Hideyoshi plays as a character. Speaking of which, let's go right into his audible. His audible attack immediately allows you to, as that bastard would put it, grab a motherfucker and beat someone with another motherfucker. Pretty much any targets that still have health, you can grab them and use them as a weapon. And if you hold square again, you'll throw them. Now, let's go ahead and get started with his specials. His first special, Enbu Goha. AKA, you know, Hulk-style Gamma Wave. Punches rocks up out of the ground. Does a decent amount of damage. At higher levels, you can actually charge the attack. And charging the attack not only has it do more damage, but it actually makes the chunk of rock, you know, advance like a wave. Oh, didn't mean to go into that special just yet. We'll talk more about that in a second. But the other thing about Enbu Goha is the simple fact Enbu Goha is his audible attack. The move that I was doing right there is Kongo Hametsu. Now, the thing is, you can cancel Kongo Hametsu. Ahem. You can cancel it into Enbu Goha and actually grab a piece of the rock and use that as your weapon. You know, beating someone from long distance with a rock. Or, if you time it correctly, you can actually grab your opponent out of the air. Your forward and triangle attack. The next one you unlock, the next one you unlock. The first one you unlock as you're leveling him up. Densho Reki. Now, by itself, Densho Reki is okay. Has a decent amount of crowd control, starts up pretty fast, and you've got good advancing movement. However, if you hold down the triangle button when you perform Densho Reki, he actually goes into swinging his opponent and slamming them onto the ground. And that is what you want for crowd control. Crowd control, consistent, brutal damage. The next maneuver on the list is Ifubanjo, Apex of Authority. Basically, a powered ki that launches opponents. If you just tap the button, it comes out relatively quick. If you hold it down, you get an additional charge, expands the threat range on the shockwave. The last of his special arts is L1 in triangle, Tenchi Soso. you'll notice that he jumps in the air for it and tries to go for a grab. I like to whiff it as a good option for mobility, but you need an opponent in the air to actually see what happens. So, booyah! Pile driver. I swear this guy's like Mike Hagar's granddaddy or something.
Don't mess with the mayor.
The thing about this dude is that he can chain his grabs together, much like King from Tekken. The enemy has to survive long enough for you to do so. There we go. 2, 3, 4. And if you chain enough of his grabs together, he'll finish it with an enhanced version of whichever move you perform last. This right here is the secret to mastering Hideyoshi. This is the name of the game right here. Put those chain grabs to use. And depending on which of his grabs you perform last, the attacks are different. Even finishing with his audible, you know, it makes for some damaging maneuvers. So I guess that's really the big thing about Hideyoshi. He starts off. He seems like he starts off really simplistic. But all of his potential really comes to the fore once you start getting the hang of his grabs and really, you know, just putting everything together. Speaking of putting it all together, let's go for his super arts, shall we? Super art number 1, Ikkyoku Kyoken. Here we go. AKA one really big fist. Oh, that might be the literal translation for it. One really big fist. The startup on it is unfortunately very, very slow, and it will leave you open to damage that you don't need to be taking during the fight. This is good for clearing out, you know, clearing out straight horizontal pathways in front of you. When you level it up, you can actually hold it down and charge it. Let's get Mitsunari over here to cover me. There we go. The charged fist covers extra distance, does more damage, as could be expected. However, leveling up also allows you to do this airborne, and you have the option for charging that as well. Boom! You have a big fist-shaped imprint in the ground. Super art number 2 is Kyoten Doji. That's the move that killed me when I was playing as Mitsunari last time. Again, another Hulk-inspired maneuver, I guess. If you're angry and you know it, clap your hands. Now, if you can actually catch someone with Kyoten Doji, it makes a fantastic starter because of the amount of stun locking that it does on your opponent. Now, leveling it up, of course, allows you to dish out more damage, but it doesn't give you the airborne option. However, Kyotendoji is still good, so don't knock it till you use it, man. Don't knock it till you use it. Oh, by the way, I should probably mention that when you're doing your chain grabs with Hideyoshi, you can actually end, you know, for the fifth maneuver in the grabs, or just to end it at any point. You can end it with super arts. Everybody gets pile drivers. Ah, Hideyoshi, quite the swinger. But anyway, let's get right on to his third super art. Now, super art number 3 is called Chiminaraku. And I guess you could say the name for it is kind of a harkening back to Hideyoshi's, oh my god, get these tigers off me! Back to Hideyoshi's days as, you know, the Mountain Man style ruffian. But let's go ahead and actually perform the move. Ahem. Let's perform the move, shall we? Yeah. You give the mountain, you give the man-shaped mountain, the walking Mack truck, the freaking force of nature. You decide to give him a raging demon. I gotta ask, Capcom, wasn't he bad enough as is? Ah, stupid camera angle censoring out everything. Now, when you're actually using any of his moves that already gives him a good grasp of any of his opponents. Damn. Let's try this again. Once you can get Hideyoshi to actually latch on to an opponent, ending the chain grab, going right into that, pretty much negates the startup. Said startup being, you know, that Russian grab, which could, as you saw, be easily interrupted. Not fun. But still, landing the attack is just as useful. Now you'll notice that Hideyoshi's aerial attacks cause the opponents to bounce. This is actually a really good method for setting up links into his pile driver. Again, provided the enemy actually has enough health to survive it. So whereas with Mitsunari, it's about capitalizing on his mobility, with Hideyoshi, it's all about raw damage in very few hits. Always go for setups for the chain grabs. Always go for setups for his pile driver. As you can see. No! Stupid camera! No! No! Why are you... Oh god! Get... Stinking camera! Okay. Come on. Mitsunari! Oh, dude's dead! Cut that out. Now, let's get back around to Mitsunari so that way I can, you know, revive him. Get up! Get up, dude! Now, you're not always going to want to rely on Hideyoshi's normal attacks for any of his combos or strategies, except for maybe his aerial ones, again, in order to set up for his chain grabs, or if nothing else, for his pile driver. If you want a maneuver that could put you on offense and still protect you very well, Densho Reki is the way to go. Densho Reki is also really good for not only setting up chain grabs, but again, if you just use it normal, you can basically force a pile driver out of it by knocking your opponents into the air. If for some reason you decide you want to try and take to the air with Hideyoshi, do his 3 normal attacks, end it with triangle, end it with the heavy attack, and then go right from there, once again, into either the pile driver, or 1, 2, 3, boom, Densho Reki into chain grabs. You see what I'm getting at here, right? Chain grabs all day, day. Ahem. Chain... Hey! Quit interrupting me, you jerks! Ahem. Chain grabs all day, day. Understood? And also, out of his super arts, yeah, that's pretty much the one you're going to want to end your chain grabs with. However, super art number 2 is also really good for ending chain grabs as well, if you want to make sure you get that insane amount of damage. So, let's go ahead and finish this stage, and we will call it good. And of course, this final battle with Yukimura is basically going to be, you know, the test of just how well everything actually sinks in, because as I'm going through this, I guess you could say I'm also relearning the characters as well. So, guess it's like another, you know, rookie's field training guide, so to speak. Yukimura. So, just a quick recap. Hideyoshi has a couple projectiles, but the mainstay of his arsenal is going to be in his grabs. Go for the chain grabs. Always, always go for the chain grabs. While Mitsunari is a speedy character that can lay down a lot of damage in a huge succession of hits, Hideyoshi is a character that has high damage output per hit, and you are going to want to take advantage of that. The only problem is Hideyoshi's range. Hideyoshi is a risky character in that you need to get in close in order to do your damage. Oh wait, here we go. Let's do his Basara. Now, a quick reminder for those of you that are watching. His Basara also counts as a part of his series of chain grabs. So pretty much if you can catch someone with it, be sure to keep an eye out for him actually catching an opponent on the end with that pile driver. Because once he does, you can end it with any of his special arts. Well, if you end it with one of his special arts, you'll get the enhanced version right away. If you end it with one of his super arts, then you'll get it basically uninterrupted on startup. I almost feel bad for Yukimura. Almost. Ladies and gentlemen, Hideyoshi. Excuse me, Hideyoshi Toyotomi. For those of you that have picked up Sengoku Basara 4 and want to actually get down to causing some carnage with the Man Mountain himself, just try and keep some of this stuff in mind, and prepare yourselves for a roller coaster once you level this bad boy up. So, until next time, thanks a lot for watching, you guys. This has been Blazing Ace Nelson with another Sengoku Basara Spotlight, and I'll catch you on the next one.